All right, so our claim to fame, guys, again, is these are products that we can kind of, every single week here. This is what we're doing out here, going out here and seeing real results every single week here. So let's give it up for the wonderful Brenda.
Good morning, everybody. I had a fantastic week, and I hope all of you guys did too. So this claim here, I actually had two girls call me on the same day, or they had the accident on the same day. But this lady here had bought the policy after thinking about it, and she finally bought it, and she had an accident a few hours later that day. The company honored it because it was a Sunday and it hadn't really gone through, but the company honored that she bought it and it was received and everything. She ended up spending 6 days in the hospital and received $1,800. It was quite a bad break. So do you know anyone that has risky hobbies like dirt biking, like we do in our community? And then everything I just said. So can you see how important this coverage is for anyone with a high risk hobbies? And do you think an $1,800 would have helped in this situation? And it sure did for her.
Awesome. Right on. Let's give Brenda a huge round of applause. Great job, Brenda. And guys, again, that's the urgency. That's what this company separates anybody else. You like literally that day, and the company always does the right thing. It's an amazing company, guys. So signing somebody up, and then because that could get really finicky, being like, when did you sign them up? What's the time thing? And now we have the timestamp actually on your e-agent, so it goes through. It's all that there, and then they can go out there and do that, and they're protected. Amazing company. Great job, Brenda. So let's practice this one here, guys. So making sure you're kind of throwing those lines in here. We'll take 2 minutes, and we'll come back in 2. Great job, Brenda. All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Turn to your neighbor, give them a high five, and say, thank you, Brenda. Great job. So again, this is another powerful, powerful story of talking about the urgency, right? Again, most companies out there take a while to get approved, and it has to go through, underwriting and everything like that. We can approve in the field, and the company honors it. It's unbelievable what this is. And once people really understand that, it's unbelievable what we can go do here. So seeing this one here, bringing up that story creates urgency. Now, here's another way of creating urgency. So we have Teresa come up here to do the next one, because also sometimes what happens is people need to think about it and kind of go through the story. So she's going to talk about a story where somebody had to think about it and not the best circumstance happened afterwards. So let's give it up to Teresa.
All right, guys, this is so crucial. It's crazy. We actually did the plans, and we were getting together a week ago last Friday to just close up the plans. So he needed to get all of his banking and get everything cleared from his bookkeeper. And so Friday, he accidentally double booked himself in an appointment. So he said, okay, let's do it Monday. And we were going to do it last Monday right after training. Crazy thing is he was in a car accident that Friday night. We had scheduled for him to have full accident. So that would have been $300 a day plus $2,000 for disability, plus he would have had the OEA as well, full OEA. Here's what happened. He spent 2 days in the hospital. His roommate sent me a message. He actually had a massive concussion, and now he can't drive. He's not allowed to drive, and he's not allowed to be on a screen for more than 10 minutes at a time. And they do not know how long this is going to be before he's not covered. So if we did the math on that, that would have been $3,600 for his 2 days in the hospital, plus $2,000 a month for disability, plus $800 he would have had for the physical therapy he has to do because he has severe whiplash. So the cost of that in just a couple of hours from that morning to that night, having that car accident, really set him back because he doesn't know when he's going to be able to work again.
Wow, let's give Teresa a huge round of applause here and sharing the story. And the reason why we want to share that, guys, is it's not all just, people get this, but that's what happens, right? So to use that to practice, to have that as a story, just being like, hey, you know what? Yes, I know you need a couple days here, but let's just try and put this into force as soon as we possibly can because of this story. And then you can share that this story happened because now this person's in the car and they could be out for months and months and they would have got full everything and now they're going to get nothing. And that's the kind of the two pieces of paper, right? So you're like, I have this piece of paper of somebody that saw this thing, got it exactly, and then they got hurt within a week and they got money, just like we talked with Brenda's. And then there's this other one here, people that needed a couple days and ended up getting hurt in that kind of time frame and got nothing. Which list do you want to be on? And that's kind of understanding that this is real, because you can hear the stories every single time. Somebody's going to go do something. You never know what can happen. And that's why our job is there. So great job, Teresa. So let's practice just that one. Let's give Teresa a huge round of applause. So let's practice that one. Just take 2 minutes here and just kind of going through the story of how you can word that to make sure if somebody's like, hey, you know what, I need another couple of days here, just be like, hey, just heard in the office today about this story. And then you can kind of go through that, right? So take 2 minutes. We'll see you guys in 2. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Turn your neighbor, give them a high five and say, thank you, Teresa. So again, guys, these are stories about creating urgency. This is something totally different, right? And making sure that we're here to protect them, and you can use these stories. This is why we're practicing and training. It's not just to go over it, it's to actually make sure you go home and practice this later, because sometimes this is gonna happen. Some people are just like, oh, I just need to go home and think about it. And just like, hey, you actually just heard at the office today. The reason you can hear the urgency in my voice is, and then you're going through that. And that's the kind of thing that we wanna be practicing our skills and all that kind of stuff, because again, they've never seen this before, but how many times do we hear this all the time? They don't get it and then they get hurt, or they do get, like just what happened to Brenda, and then a couple of hours later and the company honors it. Like, how crazy is this company? How amazing. Let's give this company a huge round of applause. All right, guys, so we're gonna have a nice little 10-minute break here.
Just a second before we go, Maggie had an amazing thing we really should do on this. She said, oh, no problem, you can wait, I can wait, but accidents and sicknesses don't wait.
Ooh, you can wait, I can wait, but accidents and sicknesses don't wait. Let's give it up for Maggie Lamb. Great job, fantastical. All right, so guys, we're gonna go to a birthday songs here for our birthday people, and then we're gonna go to a break here. So our happy birthday November babies, Anne-Marie, Sheila, and Mary Grace. Happy birthday. So we're gonna come back at 9:55 here with Senior Regional Manager Michael Greco. All right, welcome back, welcome back. Turn to your neighbor, give him a high five and say, Senior Regional Manager Michael Greco. Okay. All right, guys, so we're gonna get right into this. So we have an action pack here today. So again, we have, Mike, can you just unmute for a second so you show up on the screen?
Can you hear me?
Perfect. There he is. All right, guys. So, guys, you know, we have a pleasure here to listen to the #1 regional manager in the whole company. This guy was actually born into this company. He actually got to meet W. Clement Stone as a baby. There's actually a picture of him. Maybe he'll show us one time here. There's a picture of him holding Mike Greco's hand when he's just like a little kind of guy. So he was like born into this company. His dad used to run and help and build this company from the old traditional way. And then Mike's come here with the old school style, and then understanding what we've been doing here to try to take this company into the new 20th century and everything like that. So honestly, Michael's been behind the scenes pushing through here with COVID, the #1 region, building the biggest numbers, winning every single quarter after quarter after quarter, being like the life spark to the company. And honestly, one of the major reasons why we have a lot of things that we do is because he's working behind the scenes for us. The one, the only Senior Regional Manager, Michael Greco. Let's give it up for him.
Thank you. You're far too kind. Good morning, D6. How you doing? Feeling good? I hope so.
Woo!
Awesome. So happy to be here with you guys. I know that you have an action-packed morning, as Mark had said, but it's always nice to be able to pop in and be able to share kind of where we're at, where we're going, and where we need everybody's focus between now and the end of the year. You know, this is a team business. This is a business that we're all unified in. And of course, we want to take pride in what this opportunity is all about. And there's goals that we set for the organization, for our region, for District 6, and for you individually. And, you know, now is kind of that defining hour, that defining moment where between now and the end of the year, everything has got to fall into place. And we need to understand where we want to strategize, what we want to do, where we stand, and how we want to get to the destination. And so it's important for us to take an opportunity to reflect and be very, very aware of exactly where we stand, and then make sure that we're poised in position to be able to take a run at finishing this year off on a high note. And we want to talk a little bit about that story, that opportunity to share with you exactly how things look, and then to really ask for your attention and your focus, your determination, and your execution over the course of this last 60 or less days. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it, because I know you guys are just chomping at the bit saying, Mike, just get to the point. So I will. What's the story? Let's talk a little bit about where District 6 is at and how the last 3 years have come together. So in 2019, you'll see here, this was the year-end result, just over 1.92 million. Last year, again, kudos to you through a pandemic. Congratulations, over 15% growth last year. during the pandemic. You guys finished over 2.2 million. Again, kudos to you and everything that you guys did to be able to make that happen. Now, here we are in 2021, and this here shows you the results up to the end of October. So I haven't pulled last week's results and put them in yet, but I showed you basically 10 months of the year at hand, and you guys are sitting at 1.73 million with 61 days left to go as of this exact projection. So here is quarter by quarter from 2019 through till now to be able to show you what the best quarter was in the last 3 years. So you'll see here in Q4 of 2020, in the heart of the pandemic, was actually the best quarter D6 posted over the course of that 3 years, if you will, over 680,000. Now, I'm sure Mark has shared with you District 6 goal for the fourth quarter of this year being 750,000. So if in the heart of that pandemic, and yes, we are still in this process, but as you know, things have eased up a bit from where they were potentially 1 year ago today. So if we were able to pull off that 680,000 in the heart of that process, 750 is definitely within sight and doable for us. So here is month by month exactly how this looks. And again, talking about what the trends are and how things are starting to fare off. So from the first quarter, you'll see we started to grow. We had, not necessarily the greatest middle part, the sandwich, if you will. The meat might have been going a little stale in the middle. Maybe that's one way of looking at it. But we're going to talk about those numbers here in a moment. And then now we're on a progressive trend again, September through to October. Here's how it looks specifically, quarter by quarter. This year, D6, you did 535, 259 in Q1. When we break that down in issued APV per day as an organization, it was 5,947 per day. Now in Q2, we came down a little bit. You kind of saw that through the charts, which was 504,401, an average of 55.43 per day. In Q3, again, the heart of summer, I know people wanted to kind of get out, enjoy themselves, have an opportunity to just like leave their caves to a certain degree. We came down a little bit more, 485,882, an average of 52.81. Now here is what's positive. As we posted through the month of October, you guys delivered 200,530, bumping your average up to the highest it's been all year long at 6,469 per day. So again, trending in the right direction, focusing in on moving where we want to move. Now, obviously, I shared the plan in Q4 for D6 was 750,000. So from day one, October 1st, it would have been broken down per week, an average of 57,692. So that's what the organization D6 was looking to achieve from the moment we started the fourth quarter. Now, if we take the 200,530 produced in October off of the 750, that remains 549,470. So the average didn't jump that high. It's 61,052 per week that D6 would need to hit effective November 1, just last Monday, through to the end of the quarter. So that is definitely within sight. There's weeks that you guys have crushed this, knocked it out of the park. And if we finish at this exact number, the year would be 2.275 million, which would be 3% growth over last year. So again, 15% growth in the pandemic last year. And we're focusing and asking for your support to be able to at minimum hit our goal, our target, to be able to have 3% growth this year over last year. Now, 3% isn't a huge margin. So if we fall just a little short, you can see that it can make all the difference in the world. But let me instead change the perspective and talk a little bit about where we're at. The race isn't over. You guys know that last year you were able to do something monumental. You dethroned that individual by the name of Perry Wong. Yeah. And so maybe you might ask, exactly how does it look today? Is District 6 still the #1 organization in Canada? And if so, by how much? As we wrapped up the month of October, this is the actual gross issued result. There was $16,000 between you and Perry Wong. So yes, you are leading the race. The question is though, what will happen between now and the end of the year? Now, I have all the confidence in the world in this organization, but again, competitors compete, champions repeat, and they have the focus to find that extra discipline, that extra, dab of motivation, that deep down drive to be able to push for that final lap, to be able to do something really special. And as it stands right now, there is 16,000 between number one, you, and Perry Wong. He's chasing, he's staring at the back of your sneakers, and he's coming up strong. But I feel, again, based on where we're at and based on the trends that we're showing, that if we make the right decisions coming out of today, coming out of last month, and we focus in on the next 60 days, anything is possible. So the question is, how big can we go? Well, let me just share some statistics with you. The average APV per week that an individual in District 6 writes when they're in field. So when you're in field, an individual on average in D6 is writing $2,175. So I want to share this with you. What if half of you were to be in field every single week? What if a minimum of half of you said, hey, listen, we're going to do this. We're going to take a run at it. We're going to give it everything we got. And we guarantee that at least 50% of us will hit every single week from the moment that the November 1st kicked off. Let me share with you what's possible. Well, there's 85 licensed available in District 6. So at an average of $2,175 per person, that's $184,875 in a week. That's if 100% of you all got in field based on your own trends, that's what you'd produce. Now, assuming 50% of you got in field, that's $92,438. Now, $92,438 over 7 days bumps that average per day up to $13,205. From the moment November 1st kicked off, the last 2 months, with 61 days left, you guys would produce $805,000 in the last 2 months. Add that to the 200 already produced, and you can't tell me that you're not $1 million organization. D6, if you did this, you do over $1 million in APV in this fourth quarter. And it's all within reach. If 50% of the team said, I'm all in and delivered every single week. Anything is possible when we think big. So now you might ask the question, okay, so what do we need to focus on? In order to finish strong, what do we do differently in order to allow us the opportunity to do this? Well, here's the reality. The reality is the answer and what we need to be focused on between now and the end of the year is the exact same things we should have been doing all year long. But the only difference now is that time is no longer on our side. In fact, time is now an adversary. Now, the best underdogs rise to the occasion when they're being tested. And that's what this opportunity is. One thing we need to recognize about the importance of a fourth quarter and finishing strong is two things. Number one, the fourth quarter is going to have very little value to you from a productivity standpoint if you do not deliberately pounce on it with the intent to finish strong. So in a real sense, it is a use it or lose it now or never proposition. The second thing to point out, your loss is someone else's gain. As someone with more courage or conviction is going to find a way to step up their game, hit their target, and make the kind of progress in money that you only wish for. So you got to ask yourself the question, who do you want to be as we go into this last defining moment? So the importance of how you execute this fourth and final quarter of this year, it cannot be overstated. Because if you're able to dig deep and do what it takes to finish this year strong, it naturally follows that you're going to build momentum and you're going to set up a record-breaking year to follow. Next year is a 100-year anniversary for our company. You want to ask yourself, how do you want that year to go for you? So here's some points to consider. Number one, as we enter into this last 60 days, assess your performance. Remember, it's all about measuring and reflecting your year-to-date review. Review what you did right, as well as what you did wrong, and determine the corrective actions you need to make before this year ends. There are 5 steps that you want to follow if you want to do this effectively. If you want to knock Q4 out of the park, you need to immediately begin implementing the ideas that are generated from the exercise as follows. Step 1, identify your 3 greatest accomplishments so far this year. Identify your 3 greatest accomplishments so far this year. Step 2, analyze what you learned from each of these accomplishments. So figure out what the top 3 were, and then dive deeper and figure out what you learned from those accomplishments. Step 3, identify your biggest disappointments that you had this year, and identify how you let yourself down. Remember, you're your biggest accountability partner. So identify what you weren't so happy about, how you may have not necessarily hit certain things, what you said you would do at the beginning of the year, where you're at. Make sure you identify it. Then analyze what you learned from each failure and disappointment. See, too many times we focus on the win or we focus on the loss. We don't focus about the lesson. What was good that came from it? If we lost, what did we learn from that exercise? So analyze what you learned from each failure and disappointment. Then use this information. Step 5, use this information to set the goals that you have for the end of this year. Step 5, use the information you learned from this exercise to set your goals for the end of the year. Now, what you want to do, find a friend, find a colleague, share what you learned from this exercise. Get them to do the same with you. Build an accountability strategy with this individual and support each other between now and this closeout. So that's the first thing we wanted to talk about. Step number 1, if you will. Number 2, if you want to get the most out of your fourth quarter, you got to get serious. With a very finite period of time that is literally breathing down your neck, you have no choice but to get serious. You have to have crystal clear goals, raise the bar, step up your game, and embrace a no prisoners attitude. The moment you decide to get serious, you decide to raise your standards, and you decide to commit to finishing this fourth quarter with everything you've got, ladies and gentlemen, that is the moment that everything changes in your life, including the direction and trajectory that you're headed. So number 2, you got to get serious. Number 3, refuse to be defeated. Those with character do what it takes to finish the year strong. They tend not to allow indignity of a poor year-to-date performance keep them down. We all have challenges. We all have disappointments. We all have things that we wish would have gone differently. But at the end of the day, a professional is an individual that's going to step forward and say, hey, this is what I got to do. I learned from this. Every great achievement and comeback in history has been the result of the choices, the determinations, and the creations of human will. When you're down or you're below your target, other people sometimes want to write you off. Do not let that define you. Maintain your dignity. Commit to the goal of finishing this year strong, and absolutely refuse to be defeated. Number 4, start saying no to your distractions. We've all got them. We know they're there. We have a tendency to go down rabbit holes all the time and start discovering things that are of absolutely no use to us. No is such an interesting word. It consists of 2 letters and 1 syllable, and it is the most powerful word in your vocabulary, as well as a sentence. It's the easiest word for setting a limit, holding firm to a boundary, and being clear about what you will or will not do during this fourth quarter. Saying no is the most strategic decision you can make, as it simplifies your life, focuses your attention, and it accelerates your effectiveness. This is going to allow you the opportunity to guarantee that you're on the right path. You have clear-cut focus to be able to deliver what you said you would and finish the year strong. Number 5, you need to be willing to do things differently, or you need to just do different things. A strong fourth quarter is going to be dependent upon extraordinary execution skills. The better you execute, the better you perform, and of course, the stronger you finish. It's that simple. So if you're expecting to get better results from the same old behavior, you will only succeed in potentially creating more aggravation and digging yourself a deeper hole if you're not on the track that you wanted to be. It will not get you to the superior level of performance that you are striving for. So finishing the year strong means that you need to have new and better execution skills. In short, things need to change. And when faced with a need for change, you have 2 options. You either can do different things or you can do things differently. So ask yourself, which one is it for you and how are you going to get there? Number 6, urgency. You need a sense of urgency, which is talking about speeding things up. Speed is a massive competitive advantage that you must utilize with authority. It is a demonstration of commitment, competence, clarity of purpose, and speeding things up is the key to rapid, ongoing, transformational results. Remember that you will achieve great greatness and finish the year strong only after you've developed a sense of urgency about what you are doing. And urgency to the extent that getting results and having your goals matter is ultimately as much as getting air if you're underwater. You need to have that sense of urgency. It needs to be that strong in your mind that it is that important to you. And therefore, you have a sense of urgency behind everything that you do, and you prioritize the task at hand. Number 7, and our last tip for this morning, be relentless. Your success in crushing your goals and finishing this year strong is forever linked to your heart, your will, your steadfast commitment to your goals. Finishing the year strong necessitates that you fight with an undying, relentless determination. And by choosing to be relentless, you are demonstrating no loss of severity, intensity, strength, pace, nor are you softening or yielding in determination. Remember that the rewards for those who are unyielding in their pursuit of a strong finish far exceed the pain that must precede the victory. In other words, it is always worth it in the end. Anything you've ever achieved that required sacrifice, I guarantee you, you don't think back to the sacrifice. You think back to the feeling of accomplishment when you got it done. So, in summary, D6, the last part of any goal, project, task, race, anything you do, the final 10% is in many ways the most critical, the most character defining, and of course, the most taxing. Getting the ball across the finish line has a way of thinning the herd and separate professionals from amateurs. The commitment required to finish strong is mentally and physically demanding, and the temptation to settle for good enough is often too appealing for most to resist. That's the critical difference, again, between an amateur and a professional. Professionals never settle for anything less than their best. Professionals never stop until the job is done right. Professionals always finish strong. Following through on the last 10% is the way that we will communicate care, expertise, and professionalism to both our clients and the company. This is our calling card of greatness. The countdown has started, ladies and gentlemen, to the end of the year. Ask yourself, who are you going to be? The professional or the amateur? In closing, every pro was once an amateur. Every expert was once a beginner. So dream big and start now. The moment is here, ladies and gentlemen, and we're calling out action. Can we count on your support for the next 60 days to go out with a bang, to do something unbelievable, to finish this year off on such a high note that 2022 will be an absolutely historic opportunity for us because we made the decision today. Thank you for all that you do, D6. It's a pleasure to be on this mission with you. I celebrate you in advance because I know that I'm dealing with professionals, not amateurs. Thanks for all you do, team, and I'll turn it back over to Mr. Mark Andrews.
Let's give it up for Senior Regional Manager Michael Greco. How fantastic. Let's give it up for Michael. So again, Mike, guys, setting it up there and a great job of putting that together because, guys, this is it. This is the end. This is at, in the fourth quarter, the last 2 minutes of any football game, there's more points done at that time than any other game. And this is what we did last year. And Mike did a call to action because also, remember, the more that we do, the more energy he gets to go to corporate and be able to implement the things that we can go out there and do, right? And when he's the biggest region by a big shot, it gives him a lot more clout to go around doing it. So our job here is to go out and protect people and again, and push these last 6-7 weeks, the 8-week showdown. We're going to have some fun over the next 8 weeks. We get into our incentives, Christmas money trees, and all that kind of fun stuff is going to kick into gear. But honestly, guys, we want to go out there and do whatever we can to make sure we're helping this company. So let's give it up for Senior Regional Manager Michael Greco. So let's do a quick R2A2 of that part, and then we're going to come back and do the other training. So Mike, can we just get you to stop share there, and then we're just going to jump in here. So guys, the idea I got was what it means to me. Here's how we'll use it, and my starting date is. So the idea I got was what it means to me. Here's how I'll use it, and my starting date is. So Michael Greco's training here today. What got you set up? What got you excited here today? So we'll put this in here, take a quick 30 seconds to write that down, and then we'll do a quick little share, and we'll come back and get to the other part of the training. Thank you so much, Michael Greco. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Turn your neighbor, give him a high five, and say thank you, Michael Greco. So he's always the best dressed, and for a reason. But guys, so again, this is our shot here to finish off the year just like we did last year. Like last year, we did 280,000 in that quarter, right? And Mike shows us that stuff to give us a realization of debriefing of it, right? Because it's like, okay, what happened during the summer, right? Got a little extra time off, right? So the idea is like, we know the meat wasn't stale. It just, we want to build up for it at the end of the year here is to push for it. And what Michael's saying here is what we did last year is the champions come out. It's the kind of stuff that we push things aside. And what he's saying is no, doesn't mean saying, no to this. It just means no to your distractions, because what could this actually happen? Guys, we're going to have a great time over the last week. As you guys know, Game of Teams will be coming on board, right? We're going to have a lot of fun doing that, learning and getting better in every which way. Then we have Christmas Money Tree, which for no apparent reason, you're going to get gift cards for absolutely no idea what reason, right? And we're going to have a lot of fun doing these things, but we have to really, really set up this push to make sure we're holding each other accountable, because it's 50% in field means you're part of this team. And means that there's 85 of us. What he's looking at is not just to be like, hey, guys, that sounds like a great number. If you're part of this team, you need to be trying to get into the field, because that's what our job here is, to go out and protect people. And that's the whole thing. So if you're 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks out of field, that's where they understand that there's something wrong. And it actually looks on us, what's going on. It looks bad on Michael, what's going wrong. So if we push this thing, we go show this thing, we look to the left, we look to the right, be like, you know what? You can count on me. I'm going to give everything I got every single week. And the idea is, again, maybe it's 10 presentations is a little far. Whatever your game is, the goal is always 10 presentations every single week. But if you need a bit of time to build up to that, you know what? This week here, I'm going to get my 3 no matter what. I'm not going here not to get my 3 presentations. Then if you get 3, then next week you can go 5. Then after that, you can get 7, and then you're to 10. So don't look at it as too far away, because passive least resistance, when it's too far, is shut down. So just be like, I'm going to make sure I get my 3 presentations, because the guy, at the end of the day, the more presentations you do, the better you are. The people like Jenny's and Janelle's and all that kind of stuff, the reason why they're that good is only because they've done more presentations. That's it. That's the super secret of the whole thing. Conversations to book appointments, and appointments, that's what's going to get us there. So we want to learn this business and grow and everything like that. And we have a lot of new people coming on board, and they want to be running with this thing full force. They want to know that this is the #1 district for a reason, guys. Let's give Michael Greco a huge round of applause here. #1 reason in the whole company. I know he's got to log off here. So thank you so much, Mike, for everything that you do for us. I know he's going to run another training. So thank you so much, Michael Greco.
Thanks, Mike.
Next time we'll get him to bring his picture of him and W. Clement Stone. Pretty cool. All right, guys. So right off the bat, let's get into the jam. What are we talking about? PP, yeah, you know me. The OPP, yeah, you know me. Little RPP, yeah, you know me. Little ROP, yeah. You know me. OP, yeah, you know me. RPP, you know me. PP. No. All right. Give yourself his round of applause. Hey, we're cool. Maybe not. Not about nature. All right. So how to sell ROP. That's what we want to talk about. Make sure we're moving forward, guys. This is a game changer. We're going to run through a few things here, and we're going to get to some actual stuff about what this product really is. Because again, sometimes there's no real reason why you don't know your products. It wouldn't make any sense. There's only 9 products, and half of them are the exact same as the other one. They're just an accident and sickness, right? So if you have to be like, hey, Mark, how does the HA work, right? Here's my shoe. Like, what are you talking about? This is your business. How do you not know that, right? Like, you're going to take pride in it. And he's talking about professional, right? It's like you can't go up to a mechanic, but I get it. Sometimes what happens is like you're in a job, and you just know this one product, and that's what you're kind of doing. And you don't know the other product because it's foreign to you. So I remember when I was a finishing carpenter, I did all the tough work, and then the guy there were just installing doors, right? And then one time I was like, oh, he's going to do doors. Then I installed doors. I'm like, get out of here. I'm doing this. This is way easier than all the other stuff, right? But because it was different, it didn't mean it was like bad. It just meant that I just didn't get to it, right? So I understand that happens, and we don't really go learn things, but you got to go out of your way to learn that stuff. The reason why Debbie knows all that stuff about Power BI is because she's going on Power BI. You know, she's learning what she's got 2,200. Closest person to her is at 400. I don't know what she's doing, but it's craziness, right? So first thing first is understanding the benefits. The second thing is focusing on the benefits. And then the third thing is painting the picture of the benefits. So this is what we want to do, making sure we're going to go through it. So understanding the benefits, as we went through the other day, very, very simple. Fixing the stigma of insurance. So we went through all these things. People believe insurance is only good when you need it. Imagine a product like this, right? So we're changing the mindset. So even when they see it, it might just be the grabber. And there's more people talking about this way easier because that might just be the sit down. It might not be the product for them, but at least it kind of grabs their attention. They feel part of the company, right? Now, if they know that they're going to get a buyout at the end, it's crazy that they're like, yo, combined insurance is my thing. Because they just don't get those kind of lump sums of money, right? It's a vested interest because they're getting a lump sum money back. AKA the lottery ticket, give them something to live for, AKA, 50-50. The reason why people do anything is for the big payout. So we're giving people a big payout if they don't use it. It's kind of weirdly a lottery ticket. They only use it when they need it. So here's a cool thing. They're not going to have people trying to take advantage of this. They're going to only use it when they need it. And that's the kind of mindset that we want to have people being protective of our company, because I'm going to go through some stats here today. It's going to blow your mind. And this is why insurance does get a bad name, is because you add a little thing called people to it. And that's where it all gets ruined, because some people take advantage of it. Not here, but sometimes when you're down and out and there's a little bit more, guess what happens? It can just kind of edge into that game. So won't try to claim on small things and get upset when not paid. Do I get paid on this? Well, of course not. That's crazy. You had a sniffle, right? Like that's not something you get paid out for 4 weeks on, right? But some people believe that, right? So understanding the benefits, people will keep products in force. You ain't gonna get them to cancel because they have a payout at the end. People will do something more for the reward at the end of the day, or losing out that they don't get that reward. People won't cancel to let that cancel. Residuals and persistency go up, which is a good thing per usual. People make investment in themselves and getting insurance. So this one's here, a higher premium and more income because people are getting the best of both worlds. They're getting insurance and this, and then over time, as we talked about it, it's a forced savings plan, a retirement plan. So guys, just positive after positive after positive. So we want to make sure we're putting this into the presentation. People don't save money, and if they do, they mostly always spend it before it gets to a lump sum. It's a fact. You go around the population, there's not many people that have $5,000 in the bank account, let alone 10, let alone 15, let alone 20. And they're going to sit there like, oh, I'm just going to go put the money in. They're not. They're liars, pants on fires. They're burning up right then and there, because you know that people are, because I've said that stuff, right? We've all said that stuff, right? So we got to start thinking like they are, and how would they need to counteract that when you're sitting down across them, right? They won't lose money in the market. So a lot of people lose money in the market, right? So this is another great way that over time they can get all their money back. But if they had to use it a few times, that's a great thing too. And you're going to see here today how these products are actually set up to use quickly, not to use it for 6, 8, 10, 12 months. It's usually as an insurance quickly, right? That's why it's always 90-day waiting periods or 120-day waiting periods. It's not working. Okay. And reviews are a blast. So you heard it from Janelle, right? When you sit down with somebody, now you're going to show them, talk about, hey, we have this new type of, they've looked at this product and revamped it and make it more about the person and kind of changing it. So back to spending on, they can add more in the future as you continue to grow with it kind of stuff. So it's a really, really amazing way that way. Education of more people. This is probably one of the biggest ones, is there's so many people that just do not want to hear about it. But if they actually sit down, so just like a thing what Janelle was talking about, when she's saying, somebody's talking about travel insurance, you're like, oh, let me just show you a review. Well, it does have nothing to do with that, right? But let me show you a review. Why? Because they're just talking about it. Whatever we can do to get in front of them, because no one's ever thinking accident, sickness, insurance. They're not sitting waking up like, oh, I need that today. That's why it's our job. That's why we get paid a lot of money, is to go out there and do that, right? So hooks people in, right? That's the hook of the song that gets people in. So it might not be the product for them, but at least gets them excited that there's a company that's actually doing that on certain products. People can talk about this so easy. So this is probably the major reason behind it, is that if people are talking about this last part right here, I understand, because I was in trades, and I understand that people will be bragging about how much money they're getting in the future. Because it's not like they're winning it, they're actually investing it. And it's actually a very, very positive thing, because tradespeople will be like, oh, you won money, now let's spend it. But if you actually invest and you're like, I'm getting this many years, people are like, oh, I want to invest that to get that kind of thing, right? You'll be amazed what happens. You actually have people trying to get more out of this because they have no idea what to do with their money. Because honestly, guys, trades and everything else out there, no one has anything set up for the future, especially now with no pensions and all that kind of stuff set up. They're not going to have anything. So we're actually giving them at least a shot at something. Even if they make 100K a year, wouldn't you think that they put some money away? Wrong. Like for some reason, they just don't. And where they put $100, but imagine this, over time, it just shows up 24,000. 50,000, they pay off the rest of their mortgage, and they look back and be like, thank you so much for that decision. So all these things happen up, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So we just want to be constantly getting that energy, being like, this is what's there. So because the idea is like, if you're reading through these and you're getting excited about these, then you're calling people. That's what Janelle was saying. She's calling people, doing that stuff. We have, hundreds, thousands of e-leads that we should be calling out just to let them know. That's the reason why you did it. Right. Like that's the reason why you have 300 clients, is to call them now, right? Well, Mark, I don't have the time. No, you do. You just have them on distractions, right? Like we got to know that this is the push to the end of the year. This is that time to call people up and show what's really good. Sound good? Yeah. All right. So focusing on the benefits, Setting the belief is the very first one, right? We understood that one. Second is highlighting the IEA, IES, which we're going to go through today. And the last one is expanding the benefits of the ROP, so which we're going to get into via next training. But the idea here is understanding what these IEA and IES is, right? Because sometimes we might not be thinking we exactly know what it is, because you might just be like, yeah, I've gone over the pictorials, but do you know all the little things and the ins and outs of that policy? Because a lot of times I think we do, but that's why we're not studying it. It's like, oh, I want to do product training. Product training, guys, should be done like, that's a home thing, right? You should be like, if you don't know your product, that kind of stuff. But we'll go a little bit high level product training today to kind of change the mindset of everything today. But boom, here is the first one, is setting the belief. We got to make sure, okay, we're on time, is learning a little about me and why I'm working. Like, this whole script here is to set the tone at the beginning of the presentation. Because again, if you're sitting there, they're sitting there, you're going to go through the 4-step process, and then you're going to put them at ease, and then you put this through. This is what they're going to think about the entire time, right? So that's why we just added a couple of little things here. First things first, I never thought I would be in insurance because I really didn't like insurance. Like, what don't you like about insurance? We're not car insurance, so make sure you say that, because we don't want them going down like, oh, I thought this was a Geico, right? We're not car insurance, but for example, what don't you like about car insurance? And then they'll kind of say, and you're like, the premiums go up, right? Every time you claim, and that kind of stuff. So the next one is like, I understand how you feel, because that's how I felt. But what I found out is this combine is doing the exact opposite. And they can never raise your rates on how many times you claim. And deductible, we don't even have one. We even have policies that if you don't use them, you get all your money back in a huge lump sum. Here's the key. Can you imagine if you didn't have to use your car insurance, that you get all your money back? Everybody would love that, right? So that's just kind of painting the picture of being like, okay, what's this company? And then you're just like crazy, right? So take what you know on insurance, and then you're kind of going through the rest of this presentation. So we want to be practicing this, but that one right there, if somebody's kind of like, humming and hawing, that right there just gets people like, yeah. The reason why we're talking about car insurance is because that's how people relate to it. And if they get all their money back, people would become better drivers. People become things. It would fix the entire world, I almost think, right? So understanding that's the same policy we have for this insurance company. So let's go practice this one for 2 minutes. Just practice, just reading out, getting that thing. Because again, if you're not doing this right, I guarantee the rest of your presentation is going to be off. So if you can set the pace, you can go through this, because one of these things in here is going to trigger for them. Something's going to trigger for them, and then you're going to harp onto it the whole time moving forward, right? So let's go to the breakout rooms for 2 minutes. Just go through this one, and we'll come back in 2. Great job, everyone. Woo! All right, start coming back. Turn to your neighbor, give them a high five and say, let's get it started. All right.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So great job, everybody. So again, this is understanding. This is in the presentation. It sets the belief, and we're always just tweaking, right? So there's always going to be little things, especially over these next 6-7 weeks, where we're just going to be tweaking things just a little bit to making sure all this kind of comes, because this right here might have people 100% sold by just saying that phrase, right? Just like, okay, I want to be part of a company, right? Because it's just whatever means something to them. But now we're starting to think like the masses. Instead of just selling insurance, we're thinking like the masses, because we know that we wouldn't want to hear that. But just because we've been here, we're actually the professionals. So then we're like, oh no, the people should understand insurance. But before we came here, did anybody know what accident and sickness insurance was? No. Not a chance, right? Still don't know, right, Mark? Okay, let's go through it. So let's focus on a little bit of that here to get this thing going. 6 years in. So, so let's just bring this in, guys. I just want to make sure. Where can we learn about the products, right? So here's an extra thing. So we're going to actually go through click by click here on where you could actually learn a little bit more about the products. And the reason why this is because we kind of get people going like, we want to do product training. The idea, guys, if we're doing product training Monday and Thursday, this is about tactical fitness, moving, all that kind of stuff. It's only 45-minute trainings with a video at the end. I don't know if you've noticed that, right? So the idea is we can't go through sitting here and just do product training all the time, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Why? Because you get paid 70% to go learn it, right? It's just like, we want to play in a soccer team. And like, well, I don't kick the ball. Right? Like that doesn't make any sense, right? So we got to understand like this is part of our business, but you should want to go check it out. But if you didn't know where it was, now we will find out exactly where it's going. So where can I learn about my products? So thank you so much for Dana. Where can I learn about these fellas? So this thing here is called your e-agent, right? So click in here. In there is your underwriting manuals, right? So understanding this is, you can click that part right there. And next thing will be another pop-up, which will say disability. And then after that, you're going to click on there and it's going to go, here's the actual pictorials that you can go through. Now, I know everybody's kind of seen this, but a lot of the information in our product, which is super amazing, is it's right there. It's right in there and understanding the policies of going forward through it, right? So if you just read it slow and kind of go through it, they're all right here, which is really amazing. So right in your e-agent alone, making sure this. So if you ever, go through this kind of stuff, and you're like, I don't really quite understand that. That's a good way of then reaching out to your sales letter and calling Dan Page and be like, hey, I just went through this, didn't really understand. See, that's a solution orientated thing, right? Instead of being like, hey, what is the IEA? 10 seconds page, get at her. Right? Like that's not going to help. You're never going to learn that. We all know that, right? So here's the kind of stuff here, but we're going to go into even more detail and your sales leaders will get these so that they can kind of show you how to click through the slides also. So also on top of that, we have the PMA portal, right? So here in this one right here, we'll make sure this isn't coming in the group there, sales.combinedinsurance.com, and then your login will come in there. Even if there's an American flag at the top, don't worry about it because when you log in, it goes into the Canada one. So you punch in your code and everything like that, talk to your sales if you don't know that kind of stuff, but it's pretty much the same codes of everything that we have going. That's just your agent code that you're going to type into there. Again, basic stuff, but we want to make sure we know where we're going. So then you're going to go down to PMA portal documents. Thank you, Dana, for highlighting that one. So then right there, PMA portal documents, so which will also kick into gear. Sales tools will pop up right here. This next thing will pop up and it'll say sales tools. And then you're going to go into income essentials or whatever product you want. And what they're going to do is they actually bring up a lot of the brochures and every single thing is in there right now. So underwriting manual, income essentials, the pictorials are all in there. The product disclosures in there. And there's an examples of income essentials accident contract. So you obviously can't distribute those things, but that's all in there that you can actually just kind of go learn a little bit more about it. Does anybody know that? Yes. Right. So some people do, right? But this is just making sure that people know exactly where to go. So again, that's a very easy way to just going through your PMA portal. There's a lot of great stuff throughout your PMA portal. Remember, the more time you spend on it, the more you know about your business, the more you care about it. The next part here is called the success system library, right in the corner there, right? So when you click onto that one, this one's going to pop up for you. The success system library, right? So your email address with your password in there, that'll click you into it just the same as the other ones. Moving forward there, forgot your password. You can, have a bit of problem with that, talk to your sales leader, but it should be like this. Hi, Mark, would you like to learn, what would you like to learn today? Well, I don't know. How many buses are in Edmonton running at all times? No idea. So when you go through, you're going to view your transcript in the learning top right here at the top and find out exactly what's going on. So you hit to view the transcript. And what's going to happen here, it's going to pop into it. Again, we'll put these all into the group because guys, we're going to be spending too much time on this. But then you're going to go to complete it because a lot of people, we all went through some programs where you can actually go through that click, click, click on the disability and all that kind of stuff where you're kind of learning along because maybe you like a little bit of video or some background music. So completed there. Then you're going to push the arrow down and you're going to go down to the pre-sales school modules for trainees. So this is where you could actually go learn. There's two different ways. So we're going to show you both ways here. The pre-sales school modules, so you go like this, then you just open up curriculum and you're in it. And that's the one you can go click through all the presentations and everything like that, which is really great. So thank you, Dana, for that. And then for this one for Dana, it can actually show up another which way sometimes too. So then it goes down, you just bring it there and it'll actually just have it on the left here ready to go. So I'll actually have your pre-sales school modules for trainees. So that's what that one is. So you can go through the OEA, HEA, IEA, and all that kind of stuff. That's your 101s. So you can just kind of go through it and it's actually a nice refresher once in a while. Even just doing this once a year is just a nice refresher to be like, oh yeah, that's what I should be bringing that one up a lot more. This product is really awesome because it's just in the back of your mind. Sound cool? Yes. Easy stuff. And this, how to find other products. Ooh, but there's more. Yeah, there's other. So here's an easy one, guys, on top of that. So you're going to go back to the success system library, but in there also at any time, you can just write in 201. So anything will pop up. It has a search engine in there. So you pop up 201 or 101 and all those things will pop up. And look at this one, 201. Now you have the critical illness, the cancer care, the outpatient essentials and sickness. All that'll pop up and you're going to go through the click there too. Those are those programs. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I know I'm running through that a little bit quick here, but again, this is mainly for, again, guys, for trainings for some people that do this, they know this kind of stuff. This is just like, Mark, come on, get to the good stuff, right? So understanding we want to make sure everybody knows where this is. So all sales leaders will get this information. We'll punch this all into the group here so you know exactly where to go. But really, you should be always kind of going through your business, right? Especially if you've been here longer than a week. So now we're going to get into a little bit more high level with our products because IES, we want to talk about the reasoning why. Maybe sometimes The reason why you don't get excited about insurance is because we don't really understand what insurance is and how come this company is different. I don't know if everybody knows this, but, and you should know this, if somebody's been on disability before, they have to wait how long, right? Until you can actually sell them a policy. How long is it? 12 months. So I don't know if you knew this, you cannot get them on IEA or IES on the disability if they've already been claimed prior to a year. And does anybody want to know why? Yes, perfect. Thank you, Abigail. So the reason why is that they obviously do a lot of stats and numbers and all that kind of stuff. And insurance companies find out if somebody goes on disability, they want to stay on disability. So they've been hurt and they've been out and they've been getting some money for staying at home. So they understand that then what they do is they try to find another company and then have another injury that might be the same injury or something like that. And they might not even be hurt, but it's just a mental thing that they've been sitting at home and liking that a little bit, all right? That's an actual reason why they actually do it. So they have to wait a year because they might be trying to find another way to like fall down again, right? But you have to understand, it's like, you know when you're just feeling lazy sometimes? You kind of get stuck in that. So the companies figured out you cannot do that because honestly, at the same time, that's what hurts insurance companies. Because that's somebody's taking advantage of. But that doesn't even mean that they're a bad person. It just means it's like something happened to them and just like being at home and kind of chilling out, right? And then it just becomes like that little part of it. But it really is a mental thing. And then you're stuck at home because you don't want to go back to the work site, or you didn't really like your job in the first place, right? Or something. But there's a lot of stats behind it. So that's why the company does that. So we have to understand how our products are different. So I'm going to explain to you how the DAP, it used to be the old IEA, and the DAP and the stuff had no exclusions. You could do anything. Extreme sports, you name it, everything you could think of. And it was the easiest to claim on in the history of the world. Like it's the craziest thing. If you fell down and hurt yourself, boom, they would just pay, right? So understanding that's crazy. So a next thing, a thing called MMA came around, right? So imagine you're sparring with somebody and they get a bruised rib. Boom, 1, 2, 3 months getting paid out. The company in the policies, so when Chubb came around, everything changed because Chubb was like, what? There's no exclusions here. And people pay out on it, right? So much so that in BC, they were not allowed to have the DAP, right? For many, many years because people would take advantage of it. Understand this one. So I'm just going to give you some hot facts for you. In Alberta, for every dollar that is made by the company, they pay out between 30 and 40 cents in claims. Pretty cool that the company does that, right? Let's give Kamani a huge round of applause. That's a good thing, and that might be a profitable business. Now, in BC, for every dollar they make, they spend $2 in claims. So what is the difference in the provinces? So it's understanding, but all that usually came from these policies here because they're so easy to claim. So then they actually gave back the IEA to BC, and within about a month, they already started their things. The people already started figuring out how to get paid off this thing for months and months and months and months. So now the combined had to take away IEA from all of BC, or they'd have to increase right across the company the prices for it. But you can still use ROP, which is really cool. But understanding, the reason why I'm saying this is not like, oh, this is Debbie Downer stuff, Mark, right? But understanding what the industry is about. Right. And our policies here, double right, two rights, make a right up. Okay. So how do these products, so the idea is that combined is so different that they want to continue to work in the next. So they don't look at it and be like this, we're taking away all the products. They actually start thinking, okay, so how can we fix this situation? So the old product, actually in your very first one, you didn't get your first 2,000 right off the bat. They actually fixed it at first by only giving, I think it was 40% up, right? So they gave 40% up instead of your 2,000. So because they found out that the first month is the biggest payout that everybody needs, because a doctor is very rare to give out a few months on board. Does that make sense? Yeah. And just making sure you guys understand in disability, you can't get paid for future things. Right. So let's just say I was hurt September and October and I put in a claim, I can get paid for September, October, but even if I was going to be hurt for November, they won't pay on that. Even, yeah, it's like once the time passes, then you can go get that. So if they want that money after 2 weeks, they have to go to the doctor and do all that kind of stuff and get the 2 weeks, and then they have to go back and do the same thing. So usually you can hold on a few months, right? That's how insurance works, just to make sure you're sitting down with people. So that's again, some high level stuff. The reason why we're going through this is because these new IEA, IES is taking this in mind. because the way this product actually really works is to protect us so that we can actually still have a product that can actually really help people from short term, because short term is very expensive. Would you guys agree? And other companies. Ours is number one thing off the bat is it's only $2,000, right? So if we gave out $5,000, it was this easy to claim, it'd be absolutely, the product wouldn't exist, just to let you guys know. There's no way they could have that, right? But $2,000 is just enough for them to get by so that they need to go back to work. So if we want to look at our policies right off the bat here, it's understanding it. Is everybody following along a little bit here?
Yeah.
A little history lesson in insurance, okay. First things first is they have a thing called partial disability, where they change the game. And what partial disability means, up to the 30 days, it's partial disability. They could still be at work doing some partial stuff at work, and they're still going to get paid the full benefit. What? Unheard of. So even if they're hurt and they're like trying to, like, you know, a tough person that's at work but can't do these real activities because he's hurt himself, he will get, or she will get $2,000 on top of their income. And the reason why the company's doing that is so that the person doesn't go on to this thing where they sit on disability for months and months and months and months. Does that make sense? Right on. So the company said, you know what? If most of the benefit comes out in the first month, let's give them the first month, because most doctors are like, yeah, you'll be off for like 2 to 3 weeks or maybe a month, right? And if you can go, and then now they're like partial disability, the company pays like this one super quick, which is amazing because they want people on partial disability so that they don't have to have these cases where people are, you know, dragging it on, doing all that kind of stuff. Because I don't know, I knew a guy in WCB and he was like one of the guys on the construction site. This guy never lifted anything because he thought WCB was watching him at all times. And he had this thing going on for 10 years. So he was doing like bit by bit jobs, just kind of that stuff. He's like, no, I got to make sure I'm only doing these things where he can only have like a piece of paper and like, you know, he couldn't do any lifting. So he's like losing money every single year to get this big payout. He finally gets his big payout, which I can't believe he even got it, but he waited all those years to kind of go through this whole thing, right? And most people won't. He went through all this years, like 10 years, finally gets paid out over 100 grand. Was gone by the end of the next year. Beautiful, right? Had to pay back everybody for all the money that he was borrowing from everybody while he was trying to play this whole game. It's the way people think. I don't understand it, but insurance companies have to protect it. So we have to protect our company, and that's why they set this up. Isn't that incredible? So here's the thing. You're either partially disabled or totally disabled. You cannot be both. All right? It's one or the other, right? It's yin and yang. It's all that kind of stuff. It's up and down. So if you're this one, you go back, you get your pay, and you're good to go. You then can't go to full disability, right? To total disability. So if somebody needs, how does this one work? If somebody's over 30 days where the doctor writes and they're totally disabled, this person's going to look like they're going to be off for longer. It goes up to 6 months, or on the loyalty program, it could be plus 1 month every single year. So it could go up for the 2 years, but most likely here's the 6 months. So this is a totally disabled. So usually it's after the 30 days. That's when total disability kind of moves in, right? Because this one here, they can actually be at work. This one, they can't, right? So understanding this that's the big difference. They really are disabled. So the company's like, we're taking away the people that are going to try and take advantage of this right off the bat. Isn't that pretty cool how smart they are? Yeah. So it's really awesome. And on top of this one, to even incentivize them to go back to work, they created a 30-day return to work policy. So what does that mean? So on this, you got your disability for 3 months, you're feeling a lot better. When you go back to work, we're also going to give you half of it. So let's say they get an extra $1,000 to get back to work. Why? Because it's incentivizing them to go back to work. Because a lot of people really can't survive off $2,000 a month. Maybe not. You have to be really good. But understanding that's why the company's done this, is to protect that so that we can actually have this policy along for the ride. Does that make sense with everybody? So when you're sitting down with people, you can't be like they get partial, total, and then return to work, right? So making sure, did anybody kind of learn a little bit about that today, right? So making sure we understand that these are two different things, but the reason why behind it is to make sure that they know that most people get paid out and the company has no problem paying that out, because they just don't want to have cases where people are sitting on these things for a long time and it's going back and forth. Then it's like the doctor is put into a weird situation, because then they start calling the doctor after a few months, right? Because like, is this person totally disabled? And they're like, no, but they're a pain in my butt, right? That kind of stuff, because that's what real is. And that's what the company has to go through. I have to sit on these calls and talk about underwriting. It's amazing, but this is the kind of stuff they talk about. So is that kind of help out a little bit here on this, these products, right? So again, we're going to go into understanding this part of it, but you want to go online and make sure you're going through that, right? To learn and to grow, to always move forward. And that's what this whole thing's about, guys, is that there's nothing wrong with being wrong. There's nothing wrong with knowing we have to learn. Even when we were talking about this, I was talking to Janelle, and it's funny enough, Dana and I were putting this part together. I'm like, we need to get people to go and find exactly where the products are, right? And then I get Janelle on the phone. She calls and she's like, hey, Mark, could you do me a favor and just make sure everybody, you know, we can actually show them where to kind of go learn about this. And then I said to her, so I had two options to say to her, right? So I said to her, already on it. Dana already got it figured out. She goes, oh, okay, awesome. Or I could have said, amazing idea. We're on the same like wavelength. You're thinking just like how we're thinking, and we just got that done, right? So which one did I use? I wish I like to say I said the second one, but I said the first one. I said, boom, we already got it. Don't even worry about it. Your ideas are stupid, right? No, I didn't say that, right? I could have said that, but I learned in that moment that I should have said it this way. So we're always learning and improving. I have no problem ever saying that we're learning and improving because that's just a small tweak. It's not that big of a deal, but it actually means a lot because I kind of maybe said, hey, we're all on the same team here, right? Because what that was is my ego in the way, already on it, right? Or we can be improving because the best thing is that you're going to see in the video right afterwards here is letting go. Once you start like stop like making like you're protecting your fake self or whatever, this thing becomes the best thing ever. When we go out there and you get beat up and you're like learning that you actually do 3 to 5 of 10 appointments a week, you will win at this. It's impossible that somebody does 10 appointments and there's no sale coming through. Because if it doesn't happen this week, as Debbie said, it'll go into the next one and to the next one. And is that a problem? Not at all, right? Because it's the same paycheck. You're still going to get paid every single week. That's the beautiful thing about the streak and everything we're doing. It's not just to stop when you get your sale. It's to continue to get to the 6 points, the 12 points and all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. We're going to have a nice little video here. It's Jordan Peterson talking exactly about that. So we can go through here so we can learn about our product knowledge, but also to really go do that. So guys, we'll just take this bit here. We'll come back and we'll do a quick R2A2 and close this thing out. Thank you so much, everyone. A huge round of applause. Definitely a video you might need to watch again. I watched it about 5 times for sure. That's a good one. All right, so let's get to the R2A2 to close this thing out, guys. So great job, everybody. The idea I got was what it means to me. Here's how I use it. My starting date is just to close this thing out, guys. So let's do that to find a nice action note. All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Turn your neighbor, give him a high five and say thank you for the R2A2. Great job, everybody, fantastic. Give yourselves a huge round of applause here again, guys. Great week last week here again. So reminder, 6:15 on Wednesday. So we won't be training on Thursday, but it'll be 6:15. So we're going to run through, make sure we get MVP, go through this, and we have this special announcement on Wednesday. And then we're going to go to the overview right afterwards. So it'll be right action-packed on that 6:15 to about 6:45, and then we'll take a 10-minute break and get ready for the overview. Make sure we pack out the rooms, just make sure show the love and support. And again, anybody you know that is looking at this or just started this thing out, want to get to the refresher, it's a great place because also you get a couple of testimonials, but also just to understand the company a little bit better and where they're going, and Mike does a great job with that. Speaking of Michael Greco, let's give him a huge round of applause. A great training again, guys, but understanding, he's shown us the numbers, he's shown us where we're at, showing this is like a great debrief to know exactly where we're at, and he's going all hands on deck, right? He's looking at being like, who wants to be the professional or the amateur? He's like, Mark, are they ready to hear that? I'm like, oh, yes. We're ready to hear that kind of stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, why not hear that stuff, right? So honestly, Michael Greco, great job, fantastic again. And let's give Teresa and Brenda a huge round of applause for their urgency claims. Again, some extra ammo for the things. And also talking about, you know, going through all those things. I want to say thank you to Dana and Janelle for putting that together. Thank you so much here today. Because we want to know where our products are and everything like that to go learn, but it has to be a personal choice. Because again, we can't go through trainings. Now we can do sometimes that type of product training where we're talking about what the real meaning behind it is and that why, but we are like big part of this company. We have to underwrite and feel. So if you know that somebody's going to take advantage of this or they're in the claims process and they're doing things like that, you don't be like, oh, okay, I have to keep doing it. We have to protect the company or these products won't be there, right? So we have to understand that we are the gateway to it and we're going to make sure we're doing the right job because again, at the end of the day, the company's going to pay all legitimate claims, right? So we want to make sure we're protecting the company because we understand that some people might want a little bit more, right? And when they're down and out, they want a little bit of things, right? They all getting a little bit upset. So we are here as that gateway, but understanding our policies, that's why it's there to help in every which way. Pretty cool, right? Let's give Combine another huge round of applause. So, and then obviously with the video here, definitely watch that one again. It is pretty deep, but again, it's what District 6 really is. It's just a place where we stop lying to ourselves if you truly want to do it. Because that's probably the biggest problem in the world, is that we kind of say we're these legends, and I've been that legend. And we say all these things and whatever it is, but every single week it shows here, right? So it's okay if you do 10 appointments 1 week and doesn't work out. But if you do 2, 3, 4 weeks of that stuff and you're like, Mark, it's just not working. I got to question that, because I know that if this presentation that we have here, because if Ginny and Janelle are on like 5-year streaks by just doing the presentation every week, it's about just doing the presentation, because you'll figure it out. You'll know when you do a presentation and it doesn't go the right way, you don't want to do that again. You'll do it a different way to make sure, because we're human beings. So understanding, we know they're putting in the work here, because every single week, it's like the false thing that we tell ourselves every single week. Mark, because really at the end of the day, what did we really say? Did we ever all give what we're going to do? Could we give a little bit more? Is this the week that I can go change things? Because when you get rocking and rolling in this, there's nothing better to do. You're protecting people, you're getting this, you get free trips, prizes, high fives, money tree, you name it. It's like every single thing you can think of is the positive for it. But we go to ourselves, oh no, but you don't know, the people are trying to cancel on me and all this kind of stuff. I'm always like this, just to let you guys know. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. But really inside my head's like, whoop-de-doo, Basil, right? What does that all mean? That means just do more presentations. Because if I would be like this, my brain would be like, how do I not want to get to 20 to 30 presentations? Because if you're just looking at the Debbie's numbers and stuff like that, it's like, how do I get to that? What do I need to say? What do I need to do? That's what we're trying to think outside the box. Because what we're doing that the company's not doing is we're thinking outside the box. We're thinking like, what do the people actually think like? What is this ROP? What is that kind of stuff? So if we're doing this kind of stuff, it's just to find out. Because I know I don't know everything. And I'm not like, I don't mind being that, but I'm on a constant growing, like, what if, how can I get better? Because I'm not perfect. We all know we're not perfect. So what District 6 really is just a place for us that it's like, we can get better. We can grow. And I'd rather be dedicated and surrender myself to learning than just being the know-it-all. Because know-it-alls usually don't make that much money, are never really number one, because usually they don't have to talk. They're just doing this stuff. We're number one in this company we're number one in the company because we are number one. But we don't even want to be, Perry shouldn't even be in the race with us. Because we should be, if we did 680 and then we went down to 530 and we have to do self-reflection. What happened during that time? What happened? But I know that our trainings are this, we're going everything like that, but what happened? Well, obviously the world's out there, but that guy could have blamed Hitler and Stalin. What are we blaming? So what is our thing every single week? What is this thing? I know this goes a little bit over the top, but at the same time, like, this is our life. Let's get serious. Let's have some fun. We get to watch a video like that and actually be like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right? Because there's some people like, Mark, I just need a psychologist, somebody to listen to me, right? Don't call me. But the idea is like, understand, like, our shot is we're our own psychologist. We can hear it, talk it out at home. Walk through your house, do your presentation, learn what you need to hear people to say. And if you start doing those things, I promise you, everything will start changing. In your car, practice knowing that kind of stuff all the time, because again, in the future, we just get this thing down, it's done. So the company's asking us for these last 8-week showdown. There's extra prizes and extra things. Guaranteed there's going to be some extra incentives from District 6 because Money Tree is flowing in December, as we all know. But we're building up to it. We have 2 team wars coming up. And in December, there's going to be some more. There's going to be so many great things that we're going to be pushing for last year, but it starts today. So these last 8 weeks is to find out if you're professional or you're amateur. Remember, it's going to take some time to get there. So don't put too much pressure on yourself, but just be like, I'm going to stick this thing through and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to go out there. Because that's all we can do is do our best, right? And then we continue to grow every single week, because that's what we do, guys. Because we're District 6 and? We're District 6 and? We're District 6 and? Tune in every, give high five and say, we got this. Great job. Thank you so much. Great job, Brenda, Teresa, Michael Greco.